So today we had a rough day in the market. As the market did drop today, we had Bitcoin dropping. It was just a red day altogether. But if you have some of the YieldMax ETFs, we at least get to put a little bit of a positive spin on this big red day. So we'll go over those announcements for Group 1, along with a couple of the other sheets that I have for RoundHill and Defiance. And then we'll end the video off with a couple trades that I did make today. Even though it was a red day, I still made some very good money. Hello my friends, this is Legend. So today we're going to go over the Group 1 YieldMax ETF announcement sheet here. And because of the red day, we need something to kind of cheer us up, because if you're in the market, chances are you're down. It's been a rough day. But if you stick around to the end, you'll see where I actually used this red day and made some money. And speaking of making some money, let's take a look at Group 1 YieldMax ETF announcements. Okay, so as you can see, we've got the November 4th Group 1 for the YieldMax ETFs weekly distribution announcement sheet here. They will go X tomorrow, November the 5th, and then the payout date will be November 6th, which is a Thursday. Now the announcements for Group 2 will be tomorrow on Wednesday. But let's just go ahead and check out to see what they're going to pay out. And we'll start off right here with Chippy for 45 cents. We got Feet with 52 cents. And that's been pretty steady for the last couple of times at that 86%. Fivey with 43 cents. GPTY with 33 cents. LFGY with 55 cents. And that's an 81% distribution rate. LFGY has just been holding on to that distribution rate. But one of the questions is, it's holding on to that distribution rate and it's paying out that 55 cents. But how well is it holding up in the price? Well, we can quickly take a look at that. And here we are on LFGY, and this is the actual chart. And as you can see, it's actually not doing too bad. If you can see that this is trading sideways, any of these ETFs, if they're trading sideways, that's actually not too shabby. Now it's not at the high, it is at the low part, right? We are down on toward that low side, but still not too bad, and still paying out that 55 cents. The last one was 58, and then 57, a 58, a 51. So you can see it's doing quite well actually. So those out there with LFGY, let me know how well you're doing. What is your real price per share on your position of LFGY? Very curious. Are you able to stay ahead of that actual price of the ETF? With it trading sideways, I would think you could actually stay ahead of it. Unless you got in when it first came out around 50 bucks. Now, you could have probably dollar cost averaged in and also lowered your average that way, and also earning all those distributions, and you may be okay. So let me know, for those out there who do have this one, very curious. Do you know what your real price per share is? You should be able to calculate that, or if you're using my spreadsheet, it'll show you what that is. Now moving back to the announcements here, I just had to check out LFGY because I know it's been sticking around that 50 some cents, and I was just kind of curious what it was doing for the price. Was it eating away at the price or not? Seems to be holding up pretty nice if you ask me. Now with the drop of Bitcoin, maybe this will change, right? And we'll take a look at Bitcoin later as well. QDTY with 26 cents, RDTY with 37 cents, SDTY with 21 cents, SLTY with 53 cents, and that's a 73% distribution rate. And that's the short version of Alti. It doesn't necessarily contain the same ETFs as Alti does, as you hear a lot of people talking about as this shorting the Alti ETF, but I'm not sure I agree, because Salty and Alti both have different stocks within them, so they're not really comparable. It's just that Salty shorts the ones that it does have within its holdings versus Alti does not short. They are doing the covered call. And speaking of Alti, we've got Alti with 7 cents. So we did drop again from that 9 down to 8 down to 7. I'm really honestly not too surprised with the amount of drop that we have seen in the market. It's been rough. And that's an 83% distribution rate because Alti has been coming down as they are doing the cover call strategy on some of the high volatility stocks. And when you got high volatility, chances are when they drop hard, right? They may shoot up fast, but they also shoot down fast too. And when you're trading those kind of stocks, high volatility, it can work for you and it can work against you. So you got to kind of take the good and the bad. And right now, we're on the bad side, right? We're going down. But if those stocks inside of Alti turns around and starts shooting up, then we'll be right back into the good. But right now with the market coming down, that's just how it is. So for me, I'm just holding tight, taking my distribution, adding it to my spreadsheet, averaging my share price down, and trying to stay ahead of it. That's all you can do when the market's coming down. And we got YMAG with 13 cents and YMAX with 17 cents. I'll take that, right? That's a 75% distribution rate. So I have YMAX and I have Alti in this group. So I'll be updating my spreadsheets this weekend to account for those distributions and find out what my real price per share average is at that point. Still fighting to keep ahead of the stock drop, but again, that is just mostly because the market is dropping currently. So now let's check out the second sheet that I did receive for YieldMax, and that was for Biggie, Renty, and Soxy. Now I have Biggie and Soxy currently. They're small positions, and I'm not really adding to them, but I still do have them. This is for the November 4th announcement sheet. And let's just go ahead and jump right on in. And we've got Biggie right here with 54 cents. And they'll do their best to keep that 12% distribution rate, right? So they'll pay out 54 cents, Renty 49 cents, and Soxy with 62 cents. And like I said, I do have Biggie and Soxy, but they are very small positions. So now let's just go ahead and check out the sheet that I have for RoundHill. And for RoundHill, you can see I have one here for YBTH for 30 cents and YETH for 28 cents. That will go X tomorrow on Wednesday and pay out on Thursday the 6th as well. And the ones for Defiance here, this will go X tomorrow as well and then pay out that Thursday. And we'll start right off here with AMDU for 67 cents. Nice. ETHI with 22 cents, HIMY with 33 cents, HOOI with 46 cents, MST with 11 cents, PLT with 45 cents, SMCC with 51 cents, and QLDY with 19 cents. Now you can see here that MST has got hit pretty good, right? It's only paying out that 11 cents. So I imagine we'll see a drop on our MSTY come tomorrow. And that is just mostly because it has been dropping as Bitcoin did break our support line. And speaking of that, let's go ahead and check those out. And here we are on MSTY. And you can see we've just been riding this right on down. It's been rough, and it's still rough, right? We got as low as $10 today. We closed at $10.04, so it has been rough. I imagine people are going to start getting out. You got to make the decision that's best for your portfolio. For me, I'm holding on tight, and I'll tell you why. Because if I look over here at Mr., it may be moving on down, but we know it's moving down because Bitcoin here took a dive today. Look at this. You know, we were hoping that it was going to hold that 105, 106 area right here, and then we broke below it. Now, we had a bottom right here at the bottom of this wick, and that was probably about 103 area right here. And that would have been somewhat of our next support, and it just blew right on through that, right? We actually dropped below 100K. We got as low here as 98.9 thousand. Whoo, Lord, right? What a drop. Now, I imagine there was a lot of buy orders out there for a price as soon as Bitcoin dropped below 100K, because that is somewhat of a psychological level, right? Some people would have had their sell orders at that 100K thinking, well, this thing is dropping, I want out, right? Take my profits before I lose them all, right? So they'll bail out at 100K, but in the same sense, you've got the others saying, well, if this thing drops below 100K, I'm buying, right? So it dropped below that 100K, and I imagine there was some buy orders out there. And that's what probably helped it to pop it right back up. And now it's sitting around that 101 area. We do have this line at that 100K, and that's just a psychological level, right? Because it is a flat number, it is an even number, it's a price that when you look at it, you're thinking, if it gets to that, I want to buy. Or if you're on the flip side, if it gets to that, I want out. But that next level right there is that yellow line. As you can see, we did touch it here, and then we were coming up and hitting it at the top up here, right? And then getting rejected before we broke through it. And then we came down, and what did we do? We actually ended up testing that exact same line right here. So that's very interesting if you look. So it was a resistance over here, and then it became a support over here. So what is going to happen over here to today's time, right? That line being at that 98.1 area, we came down and we got close, but we didn't touch it yet. But I'm hoping that this can be a good support line, as it was a previous support and a previous resistance before. But is that the bottom? Nope, that is not the bottom. You can see we can come on down, and we've got another line right here, and that's at 93. And then we've got more lines, right? We've got one at the top right here. That would be another support. And you can go all the way down to the bottom of that, and that's about 74, right? And could we be going there? Well, who knows, right? Who knows? I don't know. Could we be coming down, flushing, kicking everybody out, and then turn right around and then shoot right back, right? Who knows what's going to happen? But that is one heck of a drop, as it was at 106.7 and went as low as 98.9. So that was a massive fall today. But I'm hoping one of these lines can be our support line for Bitcoin. But if Bitcoin is going to continue to move down, we're going to see Mr. moving on down, just like you're seeing, making those lows, right? We hit a new short-term low of 245.86. Ouch, right? Now, is that terrible? Well, we all would like for it to move up, right? We all want it to move up. But what's the good part about it moving down? Is there anything good about it? Well, it depends. Are you bullish, Mr. in Bitcoin, right? That's the question you have to ask. Are you bullish Bitcoin and Mr.? Because if you're not, then no, there is nothing positive about this. You need to get out, right? And that's not financial advice. This is just talking and just my opinion. But if you are bullish, what is this an opportunity here to do? Well, if you are bullish, that could be, and I say could be because you have to make your own decisions, but that could be a good time to what? Buy, right? Because we are coming down to a pretty strong support right here. That is a pretty strong support. It came down and it tested this area here 1, 2, 3 times before it took off. And you can even see over here where it did kind of go up. looks like it came up, got rejected a little bit, and then broke through, right? So this area right in here, around this, just throwing a number out here of roughly 238 area, that could be a very strong support. That does not mean that it has to bounce off of that, but that does seem to be a very strong support. So we could be coming back down to that area, test it, and I hope that we can turn right around and start moving up. But if Bitcoin continues to move on down because it wants to give people a better buy-in point, right, then MSTR will be doing the same thing. And what does that mean for MSTY? Well, strap on your patience, right? If you're in it for the long haul, then you just got to strap on your patience. That's all I can say. I'm there with you. I'm riding this as well, but there's not much else to say about it. Because if Bitcoin is going to continue to move down, MSTR is going to continue to move down, well, MSTY can't move up, right? It uses the underline of MSTR, so if MSTR is coming down, MSTY has to come down. It's got no choice. So it's just going to be a rough little bit here, but nobody knows where that bottom's at. So you do have to make your own decisions of what's best for your portfolio. But for me, I am long MSTR and Bitcoin. I do believe that they will turn around. I cannot guarantee that by all means, but I do believe that it will. So therefore, I'm going to hold strong. And if a buying opportunity presents itself, then I will continue to buy, just as I did on CONY. And you can see right here on CONY, CONY dropped, triggered my $5.99 buy limit order. And that ended up buying 100 shares. I had 400 shares. Now I have 500 shares, right? So that lowered my real price per share. And we'll be updating that as well this weekend. Now, it has been moving down, right? We have been moving down. But I'm hoping that once the market starts turning around, and you can see over here on the left side, I mean, look at all this red. That's a lot of red, right? We've got MSTY, MSTR, Palantir, NVIDIA, AMD, VOO, HUI, SPY, you name it. It's all red, right? So when the market's down, I'm not going to be the one to start selling. Now, that does not mean that you should or should not sell. You make that decision. You're the owner and you're the CEO of your portfolio, so you make that decision of what's best for your account. But for me, you can see I'm still buying, and I bought more CONY. Now, why did I buy more MSTY? Well, that's just simple. And right here on my sheet is why. Right there. Real price per share is 10 cents. So after this distribution, I'm hoping that I'll then have my MSTY paid off, and that would be a wonderful thing. But if the price of the stock or ETF is above my real price per share, I do not buy shares of that ETF because I do not want to average that up. But in the case of CONY, I did buy. And I bought some shares at $5.99. Well, the reason being is because that is below my real price per share. And I just put a buy order out there. I actually had a standing one for 50 shares, and I saw overnight that it was coming down. So I went ahead and put 50 shares on an overnight trade, thinking that it might drop down, pick up that $5.99, 50 more shares overnight. And then if it did come back up, I would at least have grabbed 50 shares at $5.99. Well, it did grab those overnight, but it also grabbed 50 shares as soon as it opened at the pre-market hour. So that's how I got the 100 shares at $5.99. But I'm okay with that because that will lower my real price per share. So currently CONY is the only one that I'm down in because the current price being $5.71 and my real price per share being $6.44. Therefore, I am down on that one. But with that new purchase, that will draw this down, and we will be able to enter in a new distribution amount this week. which will also help to bring that down. Now, once CONY turns around and starts moving back up, then my real price per share being lower means that it doesn't have to move up as much before all of a sudden it goes beyond my real price per share, and then I'm in the green. But I could continue to earn those distributions, continue to work this number down so that if it does turn back around, it's got further to fall before it gets to my real price per share. And that's how I'm playing these. So real quick here, I also did a day trade on SPY. When it first opened on SPY, you can see the day before we were way up here at a roughly 683 area. And then overnight, look at this drop. It dropped all the way down and it opened around 675 area. Okay. And then it was coming down. You can see this little red candle and it was coming down. So if I turn on my lines here, you can see, and I'll turn off the moving average just to clean it up so it's easier to see. You can see when it first came out, it started coming down and it broke below this white line. And that white line was just the low right here of a few candles in that pre-market, along with the high of the few candles at the pre-market as well. That red line though, that was the low from yesterday and the pre-market and post-market of yesterday, right? So I use that as my line that I'm looking for that stock to get down to, and then sell a put, hopefully right below it. So as it was coming down and it was dropping on down here, I ended up selling a put, and you can see right here, I sold a 673 put right there to expire today. So that being a day trade means that if it does close below that, then I will be assigned those shares. And honestly, if I'm assigned the shares, so be it. I'm good with that because I can turn right around and hopefully sell a call. But even if the price continued to drop, then having a stock like SPY, when you're looking at a 5-year chart here, it's moving up, right? It's trending up. So even if you do have a pullback, history says it moves back up. So I'm not worried about losing my money on SPY, right? So if I get assigned those shares, I'm not too worried about it because I know the history says it's going to move up. Now, how far can it move down? Well, it can move down a good bit, right? But history says it's going to move up. And that's what I have to go off of. And that is how I'm able to feel comfortable about owning 100 shares, especially whenever you're looking at owning 100 shares at roughly $67,000 total, right? That is a lot of money. So you better be sure you're okay with owning shares of that stock or ETF. And for the S&P 500, yeah, I'm okay with it. Could I be holding it a while? Sure I could. But again, I'm not worried because I only lose if I sell it. And if this over time moves back up, honestly, in my mind, I can't go wrong. But looking back at this 5-minute chart here, as I said, it was moving down. And what did I do? I sold that 673 put. And how much did I get? Well, you can see right here is my order form. And this is the order details that did go through. See, right here, filled, right? So I earned $1.50 per share, 100 shares. That's $150 for the day on SPY. And at the end of the day, what happened? Well, it was moving up and it went up as high as 679. And I thought, wow, this thing is just going off the charts, right? I don't have to worry about it coming down and getting assigned those shares at all. And then what did it do? It started coming down, right? Well, it actually went all the way down and it got as low here as about 674.50 area. And I thought, wow, well, who knows? I might actually get assigned those shares. And like I said, I was not worried at all because the next day, if we get an up day, I would be looking to sell a call and then make not only the premium, but price appreciation. And that call side is where you really start making the money, right? The puts are nice because you just earn the premium, but the call, I earn the premium and the price appreciation, right? So I don't mind being assigned those shares because I know if I can get on that call side, now I'm looking to make some money. But it ended up closing at 675.24. So therefore it did not get there. Therefore I am not assigned those shares. So tomorrow, if we have a down day, I will look to sell another put. And as you can see, the after hours, it is dropping again, right? We are sitting at 672.38 for a low so far. And I can show you real quick of how I would draw my lines out right here. So I would first draw that upper line, and I'll put it right there at the top of that candle, right? Because that is the top and the high point of the day before. And for the red line, I want to do it at the bottom, right? Well, you could say right here's the bottom, right? But we have a bottom all the way down here now. So I want to make sure I capture that. So it's the lowest point from the start of what will be tomorrow to the beginning of yesterday, okay? So right now, that's the bottom. But we do have a drop here, so I can move that down to about right there currently. Now, if this keeps coming down, then I'll move that down in the morning to that new bottom. And that low being at 672.38 right there. So I could look to sell a put at 672. I can look to sell a put at that, hopefully make another $100 or so. Depends on where it's setting, right? If it's way up here at 677, it's not going to be beneficial for me to sell a put all the way down here. Not going to make anything. But if it stays low like this and it opens around this 673, 674-ish area, and when it starts coming down just a little bit, I can sell that put right there at 672 and make some very nice premium. Now, that being the low of yesterday, that's what I'm basically banking on here. I'm banking on that it's going to bounce off of this and start moving back up. But who knows? It could be making new lows tomorrow, in which case I would be assigned. In that case, if I had that 672 put. I'm just in it for the premium and for the price appreciation, trying to build up my account. And if you noticed on my sheet here, I did roll my AMD here as well. Now, I haven't really talked much about this one, but I did have this 280 call, and that was out to December the 19th. Well, since AMD dropped, I ended up rolling it down to 270. Kept the same expiration date of December 19th. Okay, so I dropped it from 280 down to 270, kept the same expiration date, and what did I get paid out? Boom, right there. $3.25 per share, 100 shares. That's $325 today alone. So, love that. That plus my 150 from my SPY, we're talking about $475 that I earned just today in just a matter of moments, right? So, not too shabby at all. And of course, since SPY dropped, I did buy a couple more shares of VOO and just could not pass up NVIDIA. Being below $200, I bought 10 shares of that. Now, I know that was a lot to go through, right? We went from making money off of our YieldMax distributions to me making money off of my option plays. But the point I wanted to get across was even though we had a nasty red day, you can still make some money if you play things right. And making $475 just off of those two plays, not even counting the distributions that I have coming in, not too shabby at all. And since I see the market continually to move up over time, I'm just taking advantage of these down days. How about you? Did you buy anything today? Were you able to actually get into some good plays? Were you actually able to dollar cost average or average your position down any? I know I was, and I was happy for it. Now, one thing before I get off here, I do want to let you know I do have a Discord now. And in my Discord, I'll be showing my trades that I am making. And you will have seen where I did the AMD roll, where I bought CONY, where I was selling the put on SPY and such, right? I will be putting those trades up on that Discord. So if you want to see when I'm actually making those trades, check out the Discord where you'll get access to that. And also, that is where I'm going to be putting my spreadsheets. So my new Rev 3 that will hopefully be coming out this weekend, that will be available on my Discord as well. And as you can see right here, it's just a quick little view of the Discord. I have a section right here for the spreadsheets. You can see I have uploaded the Rev 2, which is the same one that you would have if you bought the coffee. But this is also where Rev 3 will be going. I have my trades here. I've got my high yield trades. There's CONY. So that's where all the YieldMax trades will be going into, of when I'm buying and what I'm buying. I've got my day trades, and that's the SPY right here. And I've just showed basically screenshots of the proof of buying it, when I bought it, at what strike, and how much I actually earned, right? And I'll also try to keep it updated as we go along as well. As you can see right here, where I could have closed it for about 20 cents and actually been able to keep the $1.30, right? But I decided to let it go. Why? Because I didn't mind owning those shares, right? I don't mind buying those shares, and I don't mind letting those shares go. So that's why I didn't close it, just in case if it did drop down and I get assigned those shares, I want those shares. And then I've got a section here, other trades, and that's where I had my AMD roll here. And you can see where I had the 280 call and I rolled it down to 270. I've got community discussions here on all of those. You can also add in any questions and ideas for spreadsheets. You can place those right here. So there's a lot of hopefully good channels throughout this that you can get some ideas. You can watch to see when and what I am purchasing. And also, like I said, you would get access to the spreadsheets. And I'll definitely be revving up that stock tracker sheet that everybody has received from the Buy Me a Coffee. Now, the Buy Me a Coffee sheet, I will keep that one available, right? It will stay as a Rev 2. The Rev 3, though, will only be available on the Discord. But the Rev 2 will continue to stay on the Buy Me a Coffee as far as I know. So as of now, that will stay as is to give people still the opportunity to get that sheet through there. But it will not be the updated one. It will be the Rev 2, which is what I am using currently and used last week to update my sheets. So I'm really excited about this. I'm hoping that this can be a way for people to discuss, ask questions, get answers, talk amongst ourselves, and get some ideas, right? Because if we can all work together, I think we can work together to make some more money. But I'll put a link in the description for the access to Discord, and the link will go to Whoop, to where you'll be able to get access to my Discord. So I think I'm gonna wrap it up right there. If you don't mind, hit that subscribe button, smash the like button. It'd be much appreciated. And as always, I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. Please do your own due diligence before you get into any stock plays. And until next time, Legend out.